Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster and area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Well, welcome into the new Lloydminster Nissan, where our guest today is Murray the Magician, Murray Sawchuck. And Murray is going to be at the Vic Juba Theatre on March the 5th. He's a super talented Canadian magician, now lives in Las Vegas. You've probably seen him on America's Got Talent and a whole host of other programs. But today, he's on our show. And we're excited to have Murray the Magician talk to us today about his upcoming performance. He's just a really good guy. Superior Water specializes in nothing but water. And with over 23 years in the business, they're proud and they're confident that their water and service is superior. For iron filters, water softeners, reverse osmosis distillers, chlorine removal, and H2S odor removal, give Superior Water a call, 780-875-6636, or stop and see them at their 57th Avenue location, right beside Sheepskin Loft, and stay hydrated with pure, clean water. I drink Superior Water because I like the taste, and after all, it is superior water. And that reminds me, I'm going to need some ice for the holidays, and they have ice $2 a bag. A Coffee with a Cop takes place this Friday at the Timber Cafe inside of Home Hardware. It's your chance to sit down with an RCMP officer and ask questions. And that goes from 9 to 11 a.m. And if you don't have any questions, it's just a great opportunity to sit down with an RCMP member and get to know some of the current members of the local detachment. The Kiwanis Club of Lloydminster reminds you to visit their park at 56A 51st Street in Lloydminster this Christmas season and see all the Christmas lights at the park. It is all dressed up again this year. And even if you've seen it earlier, like I have, it's great to now see it like I did last night when I drove by with all the snow. The lights are on from 4 to 11 each night and will be on until the first weekend of January. And Brad Pelly, the Kiwanis Club president, told us that they have added more lights this year.
With the additions this year, we're somewhere between 50 and 60,000 lights.
Wow, that's awesome.
And
new lights in the tree.
New lights in the tree and new lights on the top of the fence. If everybody goes by, you'll see that there's new lights. And we have a couple LED, our Christmas light wall, and we have a lighted tunnel as well.
The Olive Tree in Lloydminster is still taking donations as they will serve over 10,000 hampers throughout 2025. The Olive Tree has many different programs, and if you're curious about what they do and how they help others, Janet Thompson told us that it starts with a relationship, and you can start a relationship with them, and that's as easy as giving them a call or even taking a tour.
I think the best way to start a relationship is just conversation. I mean, you get to know what we do in a better way because we can post on Facebook and things like that. But I invite all of our donors and all of our community partners and just individuals to just come and get a tour of the food bank even. It's a great way to share what we do, and they can see kind of all the aspects of it as well, right? So we're very blessed in how we get to operate because we get to do so many things and see a need and meet those needs to the best of our ability.
Cupcakes for Caregivers is brought to you by Sobeys Lloydminster and Umbrella Marketing and Design. And if you'd like to nominate maybe a coworker or a family member or your healthcare professional, then all you have to do is email livewithkurtprice@gmail.com and tell us about that special caregiver in your life, what they do or how they make a difference. And maybe it's not your life they make a difference in. Maybe it's someone else's life, but you've seen it up close and personal. It's an opportunity to reward them with some delicious cupcakes and to say thank you. BioClean Disaster Services is committed, certified, reliable, and they will help you get your life back. 1-833-246-8326. Communication is so important when you've had your life turned upside down, and the communication with BioClean Disaster Services and the quick work that they do to get you and your family back to where you need to be is incredible. They're Lloydminster's local restoration company. They're also Lloydminster's largest restoration company, becoming so in just 10 years. 1-833-246-8326. They will take care of you and your family. Of course, they'll take care of your property and your belongings as well. But more than anything, take care of you and your loved ones. 1-833-246-8326. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Murray the Magician, Murray Sawchuck, joins us to talk about his March the 5th show at the Vic Juba Community Theatre.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with a Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more. Because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities, to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
K&L Electric is proud to serve Lloydminster and area, and they'd like to wish all of their great customers a very safe and Merry Christmas, and they look forward to serving you in the new year.
The holidays are such a great time to reflect, and thanks to the wonderful people in this amazing community, we've had a terrific year.
Thank you, Lloydminster, from all of us at Umbrella Marketing and Design.
We want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'm Gerald Albers, the Mayor of the City of Lloydminster. As we celebrate this special time of year, it's a great opportunity to look back at what we've achieved together, from the opening of the Synovus Energy Hub to the many new businesses that have joined our community. These milestones demonstrate the steady growth and progress happening across our community. The holidays also invite us to think about our neighbours who may be facing challenges. If you're able, I encourage you to lend a hand and support those in need in so many different ways in our community. On behalf of my family, City Council, and the City of Lloydminster, I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a safe and joyful holiday season.
KM Artisan Hot Sauce is made right here in Lloyd, and it would make an incredible stocking stuffer. There's also the ultimate KM GSP, brisket and beef seasoning and rub, and our famous pickle juice. Get them premium hot sauce to go with their premium socks this Christmas. Go to kmartisan.ca and put some heat in your Christmas. Our guest is Murray the Magician, and Murray Sawchuck was born in Vancouver, grew up in Burnaby, BC, now calls Las Vegas home. He'll be in Lloydminster on March the 5th, which is still going to be very cold, but he's working on changing the weather, I understand. That's going to be his greatest trick, his greatest magic trick. So, Murray, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate giving us some
Thanks
time.
for having me on. I mean, I wish I could be that star meteorologist, and just could you imagine what a cool gig that would be? Just wave the wand and you want sunshine? Done. You want wind? Blow those leaves away? Snow? We can go sledding for the night? Why not? In July? Why not?
You'd be a very rich man, that's for sure.
Tell me about it. I know. I'm going to work on that this year, I think.
I'm curious how you got into magic. I your dad worked for the railroad. My dad worked for the railroad. I mean, when I started talking to my dad about going into radio, he was like, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah, sure.
I can't imagine what your dad was like when you said magic.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, worked for the railway all my family did for like 150 years. That's all we did, except for me. I was like the black sheep in the family. And it was one of those things when my dad actually, was a very professional sports athlete. He was very, very good in sports. And he actually got drafted for the Canadians, and Vancouver Canadians. And also as a musician, he cut one record and he always played in bands. So he had that artsy edge. But of course, his dad, who worked on the railway, his dad was really one of those people like the Donald Duck and Daffy car with the push car, where he'd hammer the spikes in the railway ties to make sure he kept the track straight so the trains wouldn't derail. And so they lived in, it was called the section men, and he'd live on the section in Boston Bar, Prince George, Lytton, all up in BC there. So they really lived on the tracks. And my dad had this artsy side, but his dad always said to him, "Hey, you want a real job, the pension plan and a good salary, stick with the railway. We're always going to have this around. We need to transfer stuff from east to west coast." And so my dad kind of gave all that up, kept as a hobby. He still played baseball on the side and played accordion and musical instruments and all that, but he never went the distance because, in those days you didn't go up against your dad and you wanted to have a good life, right? And so anyways, when I came along, a different era, and so I found my artsy side. I played music and I danced as well, and then magic kind of really hit. And then I started doing magic shows on the side, and I started making, $200-300 a weekend at 14 or 15 years old for birthday parties. And my dad's like, "That's kind of cool." I got a cruise ship contract after that, some real money, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, hold on, this could really be a career. And I still keep fooling them, I guess. So I still keep working in this field.
Was there someone that you watched that influenced you, maybe?
Yeah, way back in the day, I mean, on TV, I watched David Copperfield. In Canada, I watched Paul Daniels, who's from England. He used to have a really cool show in the evenings that went across Canada as well. And when you see people like that, you kind of go, "Man, that's kind of cool." I knew it wasn't a power. I knew it was a skill. And I thought that's kind of neat. I love being on stage already. I've been on stage since the age of 5. So it was one of those things where I thought, let's give it a shot. And I just learned my way through the business, being an entrepreneur, marketing myself back in the old days. I had a Yellow Pages ad before the internet and all that stuff. So yeah. And in radio, isn't it great just to come to work and it not feel like work? I mean, how great is
Yes.
that? We're so
Yes.
lucky. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So each magician has their own persona. Yours is the Dennis the Menace of magic. When did you come up with that? Like, when did you say, "This is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my style"?
Well, it took a while to create a brand. I grew up watching Liberace, Lucille Ball, Howard Stern, Jack Benny, all these lovely, amazing people, Dolly Parton. And even though I may not know who they were, they looked famous. They looked like somebody. So I thought, man, that's part of being the deal. You know what I mean? That's part of actually, being a star. And so I thought, I need to have a look, and you have a brand, something like that. And so anyway, so I ended up gonna pick up one of my rescue pups because they want the attention.
Okay.
Sorry. And anyways, so I realized I got good at magic. I started winning a lot of awards as a magician, which is great. But I realized, when you're on TV, there's only one magician almost every era that's famous. Like music or actors, you can have tons of them, or comedians. So as I got better at magic, when I was off camera, I was funny. But it's a different attitude, as when you walk on stage to be funny. It's a whole different style. So I thought, man, I need to be funny on stage and learn. So I started going to open mics, started learning, really looking at myself. What would I really do as I did a real trick? I'm thinking, as I'm doing this trick, I don't even believe myself. That's funny. How can I convey that to the audience? And then I started conveying that to the audience, almost like very Dennis the Menace. Things would go very wrong. And at the end of the trick, it would all be actually a miracle and be funny and entertaining. I thought, that's really who I am. I'm not this God persona, or I have powers like, the Ninja Turtles or whatever you want to think, or Power Rangers. It just wasn't my thing. So anyways, that's the style I started picking up. Then I got the hair messy because I saw Rod Stewart and Phyllis Diller. Wore glasses because I needed glasses, but I loved Dean Martin and Andy Warhol. And so over the years, I slowly put together this look, which is now Murray the Magician. And most of the times I don't shave. I wear a John Deere hat, some ripped jeans, and a t-shirt. I'm out in the yard, So it really is put together, So yeah.
So what was your first magic trick that you did that blew yourself away? How old were you when that happened?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think it might have been maybe the zigzag box, which is a very old magic trick where you put a girl in the box, 2 blades, her head's out of the hole, and her arms are out holes in a foot, so she's throughout the whole thing. Put 2 blades in, and you separate the whole middle, and it looks like she's cut in half, and then you put it back together. And I think when I could afford that trick, and do it. I could get bigger gigs. I could play bigger stages because there wasn't IMEG back in the day. There wasn't, there's live feed, but it wasn't the live feed we have today. So you had to really play big on stages when you were playing big. Now you can do a card trick and play an arena, which I'm against because if you go to an arena, I want to be able to give you something that you don't need to watch a TV for. But that's when I started realizing, okay, there's some cool things out there. Then I started designing my own tricks, like on America's Got Talent with vanishing a train and all these other things I ended up doing.
Yeah. What goes into that? How do you design? And it's got to fit you, right? It's not just a trick. It's got to fit Murray the Magician.
Yeah. So now it's always, like I said, it's always where I take people down a path. I have a joke or a laugh, with them. Something goes wrong, and then all of a sudden, because to clap, you can clap. It could be a crappy thing or a great thing, and you're gonna clap. Clapping's easy. It's an effort. You do this. It's like walking or running. Maybe not want to do it, but you can do it. But laughing, it's very hard to fake laugh. I mean, in a conversation between you and I, we could do that. But on stage with an audience, if it's not funny, they're not going to laugh. And so laughter is that innocent, natural reaction that if you are funny and you have that, it's a beautiful moment. You know what I mean? Because you have this and the audience really feels it. They're not faking it. But clapping, you can do a trick. That was nice. And so you don't really get a genuine feel. So when you make people laugh, it's such a great moment, and it takes time to figure out what a human psyche works and how you share a joke or share a story to not let the punchline go too soon, and have that moment. So
sincere entertainment.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and of course, watching the Buster Keatons and Charlie Chaplins and, Billy McConnelly's way back in the day and all these different comics, they have such great timing and it's an art form, and it's really, you got to get out there and be bad to be good,
So in America's Got Talent, when you make the train disappear, is that the Murray the Magician trick that everybody's going to remember forever?
I think so if they saw that, but nowadays things are so fickle. You see one thing that goes viral today, you forget about it tomorrow, because it's so much out there. When I did it, yeah, I mean, a lot of people know that. And that was actually my dad's train that he worked on in Boston Bar. It was a replica train, and we had to gut it because we can't put a full train on a stage because there's so many tons and the stage can only hold so much. But that's the reason I did it. It was a tie into my past and my history, and kind of respecting it, and which I could have gone down that path and it would have been a very good job for me. So I respect that history I have, but so it was a nice way to tie it into entertainment for myself. And it was also the largest trick to this day that that's ever been done in America's Got Talent. So it's pretty cool.
When did you know you're going to do that trick? Like you're planning, to be on America's Got Talent. When do you know, like, how do you scope that out? This is what I'm going to do this week, this week, this week, this week.
Well, when I first got on the show, they asked me for a few years and I said no, because, it was like a gong show. They either wanted something really bad or really good. Didn't care. They wanted ratings. And I thought, well, I'm not going to ruin my career and then make it bad for me, because that could go either way.
Yep.
And then they kept approaching me and I said, okay, here's the deal. Because I didn't expect to win, but I wanted the TV time because that exposure is unbelievable. So I said, I got an idea for you. I'm going to vanish a car on stage. You guys have never done that. You're doing all these card tricks and stuff on the stage, but no one's vanished a car. And if you want to think about a magician, what do you think of a magician? They vanish an elephant, make a car appear, pull a rabbit out of a hat, things that the world wants to see. Very typical. I said, well, vanishing a car, making one appear, you've never had that, and it's great TV. Plus, it would make me look like a bigger star, right? Because it's something I couldn't afford to do on my own. So I pitched that to him and said, well, that's a great idea. I said, well, we want you to do a couple of smaller things first. He said, no, because they could X me out. I said, no, we're doing the car things. I thought if we do the car thing, I don't care if I stay or leave. At least I got that footage.
Right.
And it can help me get more work and, make my career better. It's kind of like doing an award show for a singer. It's a big deal. And they said, well, okay, we'll see what we can do. And so I waited and waited and I said, I think we need you to do one small trick, that fits on a different stage. And then we can do the car thing. I said, I'm doing the car thing. I said, I don't want to be, I know how you guys play the game. And they said, look, Mark, we promise we're not going to X you out. Do one good trick. Just get past this and we can send you to Vegas. There we can put a car on stage. And I went, all right. So either they're going to BS me or, so we did. I ended up doing this one trick, which I'd never done before. And I actually, with the trick, I bored it off Jonathan Scott from the Property Brothers. It was actually his trick, who are from Canada as well, from Alberta. And I bored it and I made it a school teacher thing because Britney Spears back then was doing the videos of schoolgirl stuff. So I made the girl a schoolgirl. I was a teacher in like a black suit, loose tie, kind of a cool look. And the box was like 2 + 2 = 4, an ABC in the back. So I put her in it. I squished her into nothing with a big pencil and then opened it and she came out of it. And that was it. And it worked great. Had to do it in 90 seconds, and it went great. And it pushed us through, and then we got to do the trick at the Pearl Theater here at the Palms in Vegas, because they were like, "You're going to Vegas," and so I made a Ferrari appear, which I finally got to do. And then from that, I actually got through further, and I thought, "Oh wow, I didn't plan for this," and I wanted to make sure I did everything on that show that wasn't in my repertoire, because the way I thought about that show was I thought about it as a producer, not a magician, because a magician would think, "What do I have in my bag that I can do?" I'm thinking though, if I'm a producer and I want to look important in Ohio and then, in the middle of Winnipeg, in the middle of Montreal, whatever, what would they want to see? And so the next thing was I got to produce a tiger. That's magic. That's pretty amazing. So I pitched it and said, I'm going to turn a girl into a tiger. So you can do that? I'm like, ha, no problem. Never done it in my life. And they came back and said, what's the budget on that? I said, well, I can't pay for it, but here's the budget. And they said, we can make that happen. I said, great. So I called up a buddy who was a tiger trainer. He actually had the tigers in the movie Gladiator, big Hollywood guy. Found a person that's a big trick like Siegfried and Royce that could change a girl to a tiger, because I didn't have this stuff. I have no need for it. And it's expensive. I trained with the stuff, had a girl who would be willing to get in there with the tiger, did the trick, and I basically had them use Piers Morgan's jacket, put the girl in there, dropped the cloth, she turned into the tiger, and then she appeared behind the judges. So the big switch. And it was probably one of the coolest tricks I've ever done in my life. Probably the best I'll ever do. Because even when I pulled the cloth, and I think my state was really cocky, it was like, this trick, something like this trick you're gonna watch right now, and tomorrow you'll be talking about it at work or something like that. And I thought, man, if this doesn't work, you're still gonna be talking about it at work. And I did it. And when I turned around and saw the tiger there, I was like, no way, it worked. I was so excited because it was so new to me. And then she appeared behind the judges. That happened. And then I was sitting at the Ivy restaurant in LA with my mom and my best friend, because I wanted to eat there and have a $70 salad. And because all the stars did that. And they called me and said, hey, Murray, if you get through tonight, we can't tell you if you are, but what would you do? And I said, well, I got a couple ideas. What are they? I said, I got to think about it. Can I give you a call back in about 10 minutes? Because I want to narrow them down. I didn't have any ideas. I was just BSing. I said, yeah, 10, 15, I'll call you. But like I said, I'm not saying you're going to get through. But if you get through, what would you do? So we hung up the phone, sat with my best friend there. His name's Doug Leffervich. He was a guest star on my show for years, still a dear friend. So you got to do something big. We got to tie it into your childhood, because you don't have a rags to riches story. You weren't rich, you weren't poor, but you didn't lose a leg in the army. You didn't lose, and these things are built on stories. He said, what if you made your dad's train appear? Because the railway, and your whole family's on the railway, you're not. I'm like, that's a great idea. So you know how to do it? I'm like, no, but it's a great idea, and I can figure out how. They call me back, hey, what's the idea? I said, well, here's the best idea, and the only one I really think I could do is where I make my dad's train appear from 1918 steam engine they used to work on up in Canada. And they were like, you can do that? I'm like, oh, yeah, And no, I couldn't. I had no idea. And so, well, what's the budget on that? So I called my builder, and so I gave him the budget. And they said, now, let me check on it. And so if you get through, you could do that. I said, I can't, no problem. I said, well, if you do, you'd have to do it the next week. And I said, no, I can't do it next week. I got to do it the second week, because they had 2 weeks of semifinals. Well, we can't guarantee that. I said, well, I can't guarantee the train, because I knew I needed that second week. I had to find a train. I don't know how to do the darn thing. And so I said, but that's just the rule. Like, if you want me next week, I'm out. Just take me out tonight. I don't, if you think I'm good. I said, but in 2 weeks, you got to train. And they said, well, can you make it vanish instead of appear? Because you made the car appear. So, could you just make it disappear instead? I said, yeah, fine, great. So we go on the show that night. I do get through. And they come up and said, hey, just so you know, you're booked for the second week. We want to see the train vanish. Here's your budget. We'll cut you a check, give us an invoice. I was like, oh, all right. And I'm like, where do I get a train? So I get back home, don't sleep for 3 days. I go to a train yard here in Nevada, Vegas, where I live, and they have tons of trains. The government has these old steam engines in Boulder City, right by the Hoover Dam. And I jumped the fence, and I started looking at these old trains with my builder. And he's like, that's your dad's train right there. That's a replica. That's identical. I said, okay, well, that train's not going to fit in the stage. It's like 17 tons. Like it'll barely fit on cement. And they said, we'll make it identical. So it's 1-to-1. I said, we got 14 days. At this point, it's probably 12. Okay. So literally he rebuilt this whole train in 6 days, nonstop with workers, 24 hours a day. Shipped it to CBS Studios, and then I had this frame built for it to go in. And within those 6 days, I had an idea of how to do it. I wrote my own idea, and we practiced in this parking lot. Must have been 3 days, and it wasn't working. I mean, I just couldn't make the thing go quick enough. Like it's a big steam engine, and no one's ever done this before. And then finally went on stage to rehearse it the night before the show. that goes live, and we pulled it off. And I went, all right, this might work. I said, man, that was close though. So we go on there, we do the thing, and away I go. I start talking my dad's train. And when I pull that cloth, if you watch that video online, I pull it off and I look back. And when I turn back to the audience, I'm just as happy as the audience because there's no train there. No bumper, a train, no cow catcher, no smokestack. It is completely gone. And I'm just like, I can't believe it. That's unbelievable. And that was, and that was the last time I ever did that trick. I think we actually sold the train to the Las Vegas Locomotives, which is like a farm team football team here. And I think they painted it red, and I think it's at the end of the field. So every time the field goal gets hit, I guess, the stack blows steam out of it. And I've never seen it yet. So I should go and find. I've not seen it since I sold it to them, but it was 3 weeks after I did it. I said, yeah, I'm not going to do this thing ever again. That was nerve-wracking, and at that point, 22.5 million people were watching live. Isn't that crazy? That was the 5th season of AGT.
Okay. So you meet magicians all the time. I don't meet magicians all the time. How unique is your style of going, yeah, sure, I can do that, and then figuring it out? Yeah, I'll make a woman turn into a tiger, and then she'll appear behind the judges. And sure, I can do that, and I'll figure it out later.
Yeah, you're right. Well,
that can't be common.
I've been a believer of this too, and I also do like a keynote speech these days now to add into my repertoire. And I always say it's called Find Your Magic. You know what I mean? And magic is an acronym. It's for like motivation, attitude, gratitude, investment, and conquer. And if you have those 5 things in your life, career, relationships, if you sectionize them, you'll actually be successful. And the one thing I tell everybody is when you're doing something, say yes. And then hang up the phone and figure out how to do it and make it happen. Because the minute you say no and hang up the phone, they move to the next person. But as soon as you say yes, now you have time to learn and figure it out, because you may never get that opportunity again to have that opportunity to do something that would benefit your life. No matter what it is, volunteering, a job, making money, helping others, whatever it might be. So I've always said my mentor was Marvin Roy, Mr. Electric. He lit these light bulbs all his life. Was on Ed Sullivan's show and all that stuff. And he was always said, Murray, say yes, hang up the phone, and then figure out what the hell you're going to do, And he says and I've lived that way all my life, and there's times I hang up the phone and go, I don't know what I just said yes to, you know what I mean? And yes, you can always go back and go, you know what? I've researched this. It's not for me. I don't think if you're too far in, you know what I mean? Because you only be yes so far. But most of the times, if somebody offers you something, you're just scared. So being scared is fine, but you don't take a risk, you're never going to get to the next level. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've taken many risks in radio and getting to where you are, going, man, do I get a regular job and, pay the bills or stock shelves or dig ditches or whatever? Or do I take this thing I really enjoy and use my personality? You know what I mean? So
still think about that all the time. So
yeah, join the club every day of my life.
Yeah.
We'll take a break and be right back with our second portion of our interview with the one and only Murray Sawchuck, Murray the Magician, who will be in Lloydminster on March the 5th. Tickets are only $30, and he will put on a really fun show. In fact, that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. But first, let us tell you about Wellings. We're hearing more and more of our friends moving into Wellings of Lloydminster. Wellings Lloydminster also has their clubhouse opening soon, but Wellings is a community of ageless explorers, and at Wellings, age is just a number and adventure always part of the day. Come experience care freedom living at Wellings of Lloydminster, where adults 55 plus enjoy a vibrant, stress-free way of life with a whole lot of fun. You can stop in. They have a new general manager. Say hello to her. That's Nicole at 7211 72nd Avenue on the Alberta side, and visit wellingsoflloydminster.com for more. Wellings of Lloydminster. Care freedom living starts here. And we will take this break and be right back with our remaining moments with Murray the Magician.
At Jason Arden & Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to give back to the communities that we live in. Thanks to the support of our clients in Lloydminster and area, in 2023, Jason Arden & Associates has donated $40,000 to local nonprofits, charities, students, athletes, and other special events. How does your insurance company support our community?
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner, and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
It's more than just taxes at LNA CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at LNA CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. LNA CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
The Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce would like to remind you and thank you for shopping local. This wonderful time of year is about giving, and our local businesses are proud to give back to the community through your support. On behalf of myself, the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce, and the businesses we're so proud to represent, have a joyous and safe Christmas.
Noise Photography is celebrating 20 years of capturing your beautiful keepsake Santa photos, and this year the tradition continues in our brand new studio at 3644 51st Avenue, 1 block west of the Co-op Marketplace. Book your Santa session today at noisephotography.com and have a Merry Christmas. Walkin' on Water is proud to be your toy store. We love seeing those smiling faces and helping you find the perfect gift for under the tree or to fill those stockings. Thank you, Lloydminster, for your amazing support this year. Merry Christmas from Walkin' on Water Toys in Lloydminster and Wainwright.
Simple Farmer in downtown Lloydminster is a must-stop this Christmas season. With a unique mix of clothing, antiques, organic food, and handmade products, you're sure to find a gift for that special person. Simple Farmer can also customize your gift basket. Locally owned and family operated, Simple Farmer on 50th Avenue, downtown Lloydminster.
You come to Lloydminster on March the 5th. You're doing shows. You were in Tallahassee last night. You're going to here. You're going there. You're traveling the world, Murray. Is that the same show? Do you do the same show every night?
I don't. I mix it up all the time. You know, yes, there's certain things I keep in my show because they're bits that people know or they like or I like because they're a brand thing. But my show usually changed every time I tour. Now, yes, if you watch the show, there's going to be 80% of it or 70% that's similar. But I always try to change 30% just for my sake. And also sometimes where I'm traveling. Sometimes I can't always get my equipment to a certain place or the shipping or whatever I'm doing, you know what I mean? So it all depends on logistics sometimes as well, but it's pretty much the same, and also my show, the longer it's been going on, people are coming to see me, you know what I mean, with whatever I'm doing, because it's not like I'm a singer where I'm going to sing Purple Rain, or I'm going to sing, whatever, Thunderstruck, and that's what they're waiting for, you know what I mean? I like to hope people are coming to see me because of who I am, from Pawn Stars, America's Got Talent, CW, and basically have an hour and a half of just that you forget about your life, your worries, your debt, your personal problems, and just have a great time for an hour and a half and hang out with me and have some laughs and get fooled, hopefully, and also learn a few tricks. Why not,
Are you still creating tricks? You still you have the basic tricks, this is what I do, but you're still laying in bed at night going, what could I do?
I do, yeah. My latest trick, which is going to be on a comedy special coming out next year. My buddy had an album release party. He said, "Hey, Mur, I want you there. Can you do me a favor? I'll pay for the cost of it. Can you make a guitar appear out of nowhere?" And I said, "You know what? I've thought about that for years. I just never had a reason to because I'm not a musician." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Here's what I need. I need a guitar case that I'll destroy because I need to make it magical, and some time. And I need a guitar, preferably not an expensive one because I'm using that as well. But you can give the guitar away; it'll still be usable." But I said, "No problem. I'll get it to you in 2 days." And it was a 5-day window before this happened. And so I sat in my garage for 2 days and just started cutting and gluing and messing around with stuff. And I came up with basically a guitar appearance. And the way the trick works now is I have this thing covered on stage. I asked the audience, I said, I get tired of card tricks. So I got musical instruments. I got flashcards, 20 of them. I got xylophone, glockenspiel, tambourine. You pick any card you want. Say stop and say the one person picks a trumpet. And I go, "That's your trumpet, great." And I put the cards down and I uncover this thing. I said, "Don't tell me anything." And I uncover this thing and I throw it over my head. It's a big guitar case with a strap. And I'm just standing there with it. I go, "Don't tell me what it is." I say, "All right, lay it on me. What do you choose?" And they go, "Trumpet." And I'm like, man, I wish you really said guitar. I'm in, right? But that's my style, right? And I love when you ask me new things because I do still get excited at my age now with new things, And so I go, man, I really wish you said guitar. And when I open it in an empty guitar case, there's a brass trumpet. And so that's the trick. So I toss it to the person or off stage and I close the case again for 2 seconds. I go, man, but I really still wish you really said guitar. And when I drop the case again, it's a full guitar with strings and I hand it to him. So that's the bit. And so it became just a guitar appearance for this album release party. And then I thought, well, the appearance is so good. Like I could literally be 4 feet in front of you and do the trick. And you'd be like, I have no idea where the guitar came from. And I thought, I got to make that a bit. At least do it once, like the train trick. Is I can't travel all this. That's a lot of stuff to travel for a 2-minute trick. But yeah, I'm always working on stuff. So that'll be on one of my comedy. I think the Dry Bar comedy special I shot in Salt Lake City. So yeah.
Do you get a lot of young people coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I love what you do. I'm trying to become a magician myself." Like,
Yeah.
and has there been anybody that stood out to you that went, "Hey, I finally got to see that guy," or "I saw you when I was a little bit younger, and look, man, you influenced me to become this."
Yeah, I meet a lot of people nowadays. It's funny, now I'm the older guy, because people go, I remember when I was 12 years old and I watched you. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I'm not 12 anymore, Or I remember when I was 16, I used to watch all your YouTube videos here. And so it's funny now as I get older, and I'm talking to 20-year-olds going, when I was a kid, I'm like, wow, that dates me,
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear that. And it's nice to hear people reach out and say certain things, or, like, I've heard a couple of things where parents have autistic kids. And one was in Sioux City, where the Hard Rock I was playing, and Sioux City, Idaho. And I was talking like this behind one of the casino machines at a resort where my show was in the theater the next night. And I'm just talking to somebody like this. And all of a sudden, somebody comes around the corner, taps me on the shoulder, goes, I knew it was you, your voice. And I said, I never thought my voice was that distinct. And I said, that voice of yours, it's either you or it's not. I said, oh, that's interesting. It's like, I'm not like Vincent Price. And I said, what do you mean? I said, you're not going to believe the story, but I have an autistic kid, extreme autism, and there's certain programs and things they watch, and that's what they're comfortable with, and they just play and play, and it's okay. Just repeat, and they're happy. And your YouTube channel is on our TV probably 10 hours a day because that is one of his go-tos because somehow it works, and the way you talk and things are quick enough that he can not be disinterested. And I said, I heard your voice. I'm like, I hear that voice every day in my house, 10 hours a day. And when I came around the corner, I just could not believe it was you in the middle of Sioux City, Idaho. I said, yeah, I'm actually doing a show tomorrow right here. I said, that's amazing. If your son wants to come with you, I'll comp tickets. I said, that's the nicest thing I've heard in my life. And usually it's my hair and glasses people see it, not my voice. And I said, I'd bring him, but he's so extreme. I said, that's fine. But if he wants to come, we'll make room for him in time. And so he came, another buddy of his, and took some pictures with me, and I signed some stuff to his son. It was just one of the nicest compliments, not about publicity or being seen or anything. It's just one of those nice give back moments that you don't realize that you do for somebody. Because, we're all worried about paying our mortgage and our life and our other worries in life, so.
You also come from the era where this is family. It's a family show, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, any age can come, and even when my show are adult, it's not that adult. You know what I mean? Like, everything's built for prime time. All the TV stuff I do, it's just not, yeah, there's nuances and stuff because people enjoy that. So it's nice to have an adult come and still enjoy an adult show, but the child really enjoys it as well. So it's a 2-for-1. You know what I mean?
Murray, I've kept you way too long, but I really appreciate you giving us your time. And it's March 5th. Make a great Christmas present and really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. And I hope you can come to the show. You're always a guest, of course, and you and your family. And I hope to hang out with you backstage on that night.
Thanks, Murray.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, once again, our thanks to Murray the Magician. That is going to be a fantastic show on March the 5th, a fun show for the whole family. Tickets are available now at vicjubatheatre.ca. They're only $30, and mom, dad, the kids, they will love seeing Murray the Magician. He is, like I say, known the world over, and for good reason, making trains disappear and tigers turn into women. That'll get you recognized no matter where you are. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. right here at the new Lloydminster Nissan. And we're going to be talking with Century 21 Drive about their Christmas Wish Book campaign that they held over the Christmas season. And we'll also check in with Big Brothers and Big Sisters who are prepared to do some work that especially the guys might not be interested in doing. We'll have that for you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. right here from the new Lloydminster Nissan.